Welcome to the Cocoa Recovery Podcast.
The Cocoa Recovery Podcast presents the conversations of an informal group of friends gathered over coffee to discuss their current experience in recovery. The simple purpose of this podcast is to be helpful by sharing the realities of people living in recovery. The hosts and guests may or may not be practicing members of 12-step programs. The Cocoa Recovery Podcast is not affiliated with any organization, institution, or facility, neither endorses nor opposes any causes or approaches to recovery and rehabilitation. Whatever is expressed in the podcast represents our individual experiences and opinions as of today. Welcome back to the Cocoa Recovery Podcast. Good to see you all. I'm one of your co-hosts, Pirate Mike.
And I'm Carbs.
And I'm Barbie.
Good to see you guys. And tonight we have another one of our friends joining us for season 2 as we present recovery stories from around the archipelago. How's it going, RYGUY?
Oh, it's going well. It's going well. It's nice to be here and nice to see you guys again.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to be our guest on our fourth episode, or
Yeah.
Yes,
Fourth.
episode 4 of the second season.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here, man.
Tell us about yourself, right, guy?
Tell us, why is your voice like that, Carbs? It just
It's just
tell us about yourself.
because I consider our baby in recovery, because he reached out to me first, and
No, he
Oh,
reached out to
really?
me first. No, wait.
No, you don't
I
understand.
don't know.
He
I'm not
sent
saying it.
me a
I'm just
message.
saying that he
Kidding.
he reached out, and I was kind of confused because I didn't know what he was in for, and then I was like, is it cancer? What is he? What is he? I thought it was cancer, and I was like, oh my god, he's recovering from cancer and he needs support.
I
I am
actually
very yeah. So let's tell me about that. I mean, let's talk about your recovery journey, buddy.
all right. So unfortunately, that's a pretty vague memory for me, even though this was like probably a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, my main fellowship, or like I wouldn't say my main, but like I came from CA because the treatment center that I was in, like coming in and out of, and this is based in Phuket, was very much aligned with the CA fellowship. So for those of you that don't know, CA stands for Cocaine Anonymous. And I guess the hallmark of CA is that unlike Narcotics Anonymous, we also use the big book as our principal reading. So
Yeah.
everything that we do is also based on AA literature. We pretty much just swap out alcohol for cocaine. And in every preamble that we have, we also make it a point to say that alcohol is also considered a drug.
A drug, that's right. It's like in Narcotics Anonymous as well.
Yeah.
They consider alcohol as your drug of choice, basically.
Yes. Yeah. So when I reached out to Carbs, I think that was at the tail end of my first stint in treatment, which was fairly short, like 3 months. And I kind of wanted to still continue some sort of fellowship. Didn't know that there was no CA in the Philippines. I actually wasn't familiar with AA or NA. I just sort of had an idea in my head of what these fellowships were. None of them were sort of like attractive, including CA. Like just the whole concept of having a fellowship was very unattractive to me. Coming out of like 3 months of treatment and still having that sort of certain type of arrogance that I can do it myself, and like I've gone through this prison period, even though, like, believe me, it was not a prison. It was just
Mhm.
it was a very, very comfortable thing that had rules,
Okay.
you know, and
Okay.
rules that I had to follow, and like, you know, like like something as well, I guess non-intrusive as I can't use my phone every day. What? Like you guys are taking away
Uh,
um like my laptop, but I have stuff to do. But do I? You know? But, you know what I mean? Things like that. They didn't let me keep a Nintendo Switch or bring my PS5. And that was a big deal to me. But
oh,
anyway,
it really was. Okay.
it it, it it totally was in the beginning. I had to get beaten
Yeah.
down
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
to I mean, this is a recovery podcast, so I guess, you know, you guys are probably familiar with the saying like beaten down to a state of reasonability
Yep.
Yep.
or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reasonableness. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a process. That was a process.
Or like
But
acceptance, right? Basically, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yes, I did reach out to Carbs, and then I reached out. I think I reached out to each of you at least once because I've been back and forth between Thailand and the Philippines at the very least 5 times.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember the time that you were attending regularly, and then one day you kind of just disappeared. And we were like, what happened? What happened to RYGUY? And so, yeah, I remember sending you a message, and you had said that you had fallen off the wagon, basically, and but you had every intentions of coming back when you were ready. So I remember just yeah, I just it's like, oh, of course, I was like, oh no, right? I was like, I hope he comes back. But I guess it's all in, for me, our higher power's perfect time, right? And I'm so glad that you're back.
I'm glad that I'm
So
back.
glad.
Yeah,
Because you
it's
came
good. It's good to be here for a while now. You know.
because your last stint lasted. You went. You yourself like decided that you had to get away from here, right?
Yes. So my last stint started January of this year. Actually,
Hmm.
probably January the 2nd or January the 3rd, like right after New Year. And I was in treatment for 4 months. And then after that, I sort of chose to stay in Thailand and just see if I could handle myself not in the Philippines, and just like slowly get back into the swing of things, or even just, I mean, essentially what I was doing was living as a tourist, um, whose only goal was to work on on my recovery.
Hmm.
So I was doing everything recovery related, but I was, you know, like going out, eating out, meeting people, like just sort of like being a tourist. And I just kept work like out of my radar, family out of my radar. I was just sort of living for 2.5 months in Phuket, just randomly doing things. I think that helped me a lot. I I I I I guess I can compare it to something like a sober living situation, um, where there's for me there wasn't too much pressure to get anything done or to try to fix anything just yet.
Hmm.
It was just sort of like a time for me to just be me, and also more importantly, be a stranger. Just be a stranger in a strange place, where essentially like if well, yes, if I were to slip up, I can always just call my sponsor, call the treatment center, and be like, either help me or I'm coming back. But it was very unlikely that I'd be like, yo, I want to voluntarily come back. Here's some money. Here's some more money. Here you go.
Here's some
I
more
I would
money.
I would I would probably I probably would have like spoken to him as a sponsor. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so that's my story. I've been back in the Philippines for about almost 2 months now. I think by next week it'll be 2 months.
That's great.
And
So,
that's oh, sorry, go.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead. What were you
I was
gonna
gonna
say?
say that's my personal best.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
that's my
Well,
personal best
Oh,
In the
very
by
Philippines.
in the Philippines by a long shot. By a long shot. You know, the last time I was here for or like first relapse, I was here for 2 weeks. actually, let me double back. The very first relapse, I was here for 2 months.
Mm.
But I had disappeared after a week. So like that was a mistake. And that's also sort of that set the tone and set sort of the precedent of why every time I relapse, I gotta get out of here. Because my drug of choice, I'm a I was a meth head, or I am a meth head. I am a
Mm,
meth head.
Okay.
yeah.
And it's the kind of thing that like it's I guess the definition of once you start you can't like physically cannot stop. So yeah, that's that was me. I had to always be completely removed once I got started with the first one. Like there's no such thing as a lapse for me. Because I do know people in recovery who they lapsed. They had a really bad night. They probably what they did another line of coke, or like, oh shit, I screwed up. I had some beers and I had a bit too much to drink. Uh, you know, one hangover later, like a lot of regret, and with the help of the rooms, they're able to sort of get back on track. Um, and I don't want to I don't want to say that it's impossible to do with something like meth. But in my experience, it's just been very, very hard. Like it's not the type of thing where you can just, oh, I screwed up.
Oh
So
yeah.
now tomorrow I'm gonna I'm gonna stop and it's all gonna
Yeah.
be all good.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've all been there, whether it's meth or alcohol, right? It's like you can't
Yeah.
choose. I mean, that's why you have no control. There's no such
Mm.
thing as controlled using, right? Like, oh, I'll do it today and maybe skip 2 days, and then oh, on Thursday I'll do it again. It just doesn't work that way. But my question for you is, how did it all start? Like, when did you start taking math, or did you start with Coke first and then
Whoa.
graduated to math, or
That's a good point,
Okay.
right? It seems like it all hit pretty like hard recently. I mean, when you talked about your
Yeah.
cycle of treatment and rehab, it seems like it's fairly recent. So to Barbie's point,
Yeah.
like, what was that roller coaster upward looking like?
I want to say that I'm lucky that I became a meth head. Like, because if I didn't, then I'd probably be dead because of the amounts of coke that I used to take.
Mhm.
Um, so I've been a regular cocaine user since the age of 16. Um,
Mm.
I I've never tried anything other than just normal coke. Like I've never tried like crack or anything like I was a snooty teenage I was a snooty high school kid that became a snooty college kid that became like a snooty young adult, and I found it very glamorous. uh,
Mm,
Yeah.
cocaine cocaine to me I always associated with you go to back in the day it was Embassy, it was
Mm.
Yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
was Cuisine.
you said back in the
Like,
Mm-hmm.
day.
yeah.
Hey.
It was back in the day, guys.
Yeah, and even now, whatever is upstairs from what used to be Pool Club, I'm so unfamiliar now with what these places.
Yeah.
Their names keep changing.
It's like
Um,
Silo now, Silo
yeah,
or
Mm.
Revel.
Revel,
Oh yeah.
and it was always the thing. Like I just thought it we were on a different, like we were just superior. We were above everybody because we would get the bodyguards to
Gotcha.
hold the doors to, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
it would be almost like a weird statusy thing.
Yeah.
And this was the same when I was living in the UK. This was the same when I was living in the US. It was glamorous, and it stayed glamorous because it was always like in the beginning it was a very social thing for me.
Mm.
Yes.
When it ceased to be social, I think this was when I was in college. My excuse naman was I was living in a frat house that supplied the whole campus with cocaine.
Mm.
So
Wow.
so that was a different type of like cool factor naman for me. Like that,
Yeah.
it's just switch one excuse for another excuse.
Uh-huh.
This was something that was I want to say enhancing my view of myself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So cocaine is something that not only gave me the false sense of confidence, it gave me sort of access into a group of people that I thought in my head were either super cool, super successful.
Yeah.
I went to a business school. Everybody did coke and just talked there, like, So where were you hired? Oh, I got Google. I got da da da. I got da da da. Just yacked out of their faces. But I loved it. I loved it. But there's one thing I loved more than that, and that was Adderall. I don't know if you
Oh,
guys are.
oh.
I, I don't know if you guys are familiar. But
Uh-huh.
Why? What did it do
oh
for you that was
man.
different?
Ooh, all right. So my first experience with Adderall was I was already doing graduate studies. I finished my degree in the UK. Um, Adderall, I'm pretty sure it was already big in the States, but to me it was a very new thing. This was like 2008, 2008, 2009, maybe
Hmm.
2010. So what it did for me, or let me double back. So how I was introduced to it was I had a friend who essentially he just let me try it because he had ADD. Like everybody had
Yeah,
ADD.
the ADHD or ADD, that's what they prescribe, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I tried it, 20 milligrams, which is the standard dose that you start off with.
Mhm.
So what he told me was we were in the same fraternity. He was like, bro, wake up at 4:30. Um, Before you eat anything, take this with like 2 glasses of water, and then you'll just be able to get stuff done all day.
Mm.
And that's finished my readings for like the next 2 months,
Yeah.
and I was high the entire time, feeling
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
and
And just getting a lot of shit done,
So
right?
getting a
productivity,
lot of
yeah.
stuff done. Yeah, and also like social, like I was feeling I don't know if it was confidence, but because I felt so physically elated
Mm.
doing whatever it was that I was doing, um I also became much more of a chatterbox, like either in class or
Mm.
with my friends. So for me, it was I always used to compare it in my 20s to that film where the guy takes this pill. I forget what it
Oh,
was.
Limitless.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah,
Oh,
Limitless.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing movie. Oh.
Yeah, and just like the synapses of your brain,
Mm-hmm.
but that was just that was if I were if I as I look at that now, I can see why meth became my drug of choice because that's what it is. Adderall is amphetamine salts. It's just a different chemical structure, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Um, and right before moving to the Philippines, I went from 20 milligrams to doing like anywhere between 240 to 360 milligrams a day. And I'd be popping them like Tic Tacs to sustain that high.
Yeah.
No longer productive. I would
Oh.
have yeah, I would have, I couldn't function without it. Like if I wanted to go to a grocery store, I needed to have some Adderall. If I wanted to see some friends, I needed to have some Adderall. If I wanted to get anything done, I needed Adderall. In fact, when I moved to the Philippines, I brought like maybe 500 pills of Adderall with me, and I figured out some like a way to get it shipped here for a while until that stopped working.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely like a progressive disease, right? Like
Oh
you're
yeah.
used to all of these, like, yeah, we discussed this before, like you're used to all of these like dopamine levels, like that very, very high dopamine level, and then your body get and your brain gets used to it, and you need more and more and more in order to sustain, that same feeling until you can't even get to that, anymore unless you add on, right? And for
Yeah.
you, it's basically,
Yeah.
what you graduated to, I guess.
Yeah. And also the thing about that, just to double back on what I said, about the Coke thing, um, when I couldn't do the Adderall anymore, I went back to Coke. But instead of having like a gram or two over the weekend, it became like I always needed 2 grams in my pocket every day.
Mm.
Um, and I would finish at least a gram and a half. And then when things got to their peak, I'd be taking 3, 4 a day.
Mm.
Um, and I at that point I could physically feel my chest begin to hurt.
Oh,
Mm.
Um,
The palpitations.
yeah.
yeah, I think it was palpitations. It was also like um difficulty breathing.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, I'm the type of person who's gonna take Coke and coffee and Adderall and I
Holy
don't
cow!
and smoke and smoke. You know what I mean? Like I don't want booze. Like if I go to a bar, I'm gonna
Oh
I'm
my
gonna nurse
God!
Yeah.
I'm gonna nurse a cocktail, but I'm gonna be the annoying. Well, no, not the annoying. I'm gonna be the one who always has like 2 secret stashes, like one to share with if somebody's asking,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like another two in like my back pocket that nobody knows about but me. Um,
You're that guy. Just kidding.
You're
That
that
guy.
guy.
oh yeah,
No, because I
but
get it.
like
I
believe me,
get it. I get
you
it.
have to be that guy to avoid that other guy who's always asking.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean?
You're the guy that everyone follows around
Yeah.
because they know you have it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, yes,
No,
actually.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
okay. So that was like a pretty intense progression, if I'm being honest. But then like I understand completely because like you're trying to catch a high that
Yep.
you can't. Basically, like
Yeah.
that's the downfall. But then like when did you start noticing that okay, this ain't good anymore? I need frickin' I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know what's going on. I think I need help.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that you're thankful that you got hooked on meth. What do you
Yeah.
mean by that?
Is that
Uh, okay, so for me, meth made the things in my life fall apart quick,
Mm.
Mm.
very, very quick. And I'm very lucky, I feel, because of the inherent shame, like just living in the Philippines, that there was a lot of, growing up, even with my friends, like there was always this saying, I'll try anything except for crack, heroin, and meth. I'll
Yeah,
try anything
yeah.
except for crack, heroin, and
Oh
meth.
yeah.
Because like
yeah.
they're like Coke and E and all that. Oh, that's party drugs. But if
Party
it's
drug.
like meth, it's like, ooh, addict levels. We stay
Yeah.
away from addict yan, addict yan.
That's true.
That's
It's like
true.
Yeah.
even though they're addicts,
Yeah.
right? They're addicts, but they're
Exactly.
like, ooh, but I do blow, but meth, no way.
Even
Diba?
even
Yeah.
opium was okay because it was romantic in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, like,
Or
I
hash.
actually, I smoked opium before I smoked weed. Like, this was from my friend's kuya. But like, anyway, I remember a friend telling me when when I came clean to my group of friends, they were just like, dude, it's such bad optics. Like it's even better to die of a cocaine overdose than to live being a meth head. Like like you know what I mean?
The
So
classes of
so
It's
addicts.
just so ridiculous, right?
it is well now I see well I don't think it's that ridiculous because I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I thought that way as well. When I made the transition, it was because, and this is gonna sound like such a cop out, but it's because somebody who's no longer my friend. At the end of the night, I was coming down from I think ecstasy, cocaine. He was like, "Have some of this; it'll calm you down." And it was meth. I don't know if you guys are
Oh
familiar
my God.
with the feeling, but
Uh-huh.
what it does is it's not an upper like Coke is, although it is an upper, it's like a calm. It's like it could, because it did calm me down.
Interesting.
Okay, I've
Yeah,
never, this is the first time I'm hearing this. Yeah.
No, it's true.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
calming.
It's true.
It's
Wow,
a
I
it's
had no idea.
if Coke does this to you,
Yeah.
meth kind of like,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of it floats you up there, and you don't get cracked out on. I mean, you do because of the lack of sleep
Mm.
and
Yeah.
everything else. You
But
get you
are
get
you as chatty like with
no.
no, so
Oh.
that's yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but there are also two types because I know people who was so like, I don't want to say make a lot, but they can leave their house and be on it. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. I stayed in my apartment. I was locked away, and this just so happened to be during COVID. So for me, after COVID became an excuse, it became depression because everyone was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, I was playing video games on meth, um, probably also depressed, but chemically induced.
hmm.
But telling my family that it was like, legit depression, like, oh, this is legit depression. I can't go to this family thing. I can't join the Christmas thing because I'm just so depressed. It's so hard for me to leave the room, which to a certain extent it was true, but it's because I was always taking math.
Yeah, yeah.
It's because I was always taking math. Um, yeah, so that's sort of how the transition happened. But funnily enough, I was able to stop that after 4 months, because my friends all sat me down and they were like, "Bro, we can't be your friend if you continue doing this."
Mm.
Um, and then I moved back to cocaine again, but then I was doing even more. Um, like and I became super careless about it. And by that point, my family didn't want me living in my place living in my own place anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so I was living in the family home, like where I live now.
Mm.
Although now I sort of go back and forth between my own place and the family home. But I'd be leaving bags in the car. I'd be leaving bags here.
Oh, careless like that. Okay.
Super careless, super careless.
Oh.
In fact, not just careless. I think I was collecting. Uh, Basta, I was collecting the packages and stacking them up.
Okay.
Right? Like, Um, and that's when my family decided that, not my family, but my parents. But that's a whole different bag of beans. Like there are resentments there, but they
Mm.
were able to convince the rest of my family that I needed to go to rehab, which probably was a
Hmm.
good call. It was a good call. It just wasn't the right rehab. Because
Oh.
I think that for somebody as who would derive my own sense of identity through the people who I'm associated with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by putting me in a Filipino rehab, which I'm not gonna name. Like, in fact, I already forgot what it was.
But
But
was
it
it
was
like a 12-step rehab or was
uh
it like a therapeutic community?
it was not. I would not have been able to do, like. In fact, it was not a therapeutic community, but I'd had altercations during the 4 days that I was there.
For
Hmm.
days.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, 4 days. So
Wow.
it was in Bacolod. And I was still at that phase where, like, I was very angry. One of the
Mm.
I remember one of the, I don't know what you call them, but like he wasn't a counselor, but he was assisting the counselors.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, he like I forget what it was that he said, but he said something to me, and I told him, I'm leaving here, right? And I know your name. Like I would just I threatened the guy. I threatened
Okay.
the guy. And like everybody there was a meth head. And the guy who I was rooming with like had a like a prison. I don't know. He was on either bail or probation. Does bail even exist in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Whatever it was, like he tried to burn down his house or some shit, and like and and so I was thinking, fuck, like what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I'm sharing a bathroom with these people. There's Epis and there's like
Uh,
what?
I
you
can
didn't
see this.
belong.
I can totally see this. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
yeah.
You didn't
and
belong.
You're bunking with all these strangers and yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and it's it sounds so bad, but you know, for if the solution is to look for the similarities and not the differences, like that wasn't where that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So after about day three, and because I was continuously calling my family,
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying just be humble, just like this is going to be a humbling experience for you. It was going to be 4 months yata or five.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, by day four, I went to the office and I'm just like, nah, man. Mm-mm.
Mm.
I'm getting a ticket. I'm getting it now. And I'm leaving. And this was my first treatment center ever. And they were like, we can't let you do that. You have to ask permission from your parents. And I'm just like, what? Like, huh? Like, no. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm paying for it. Da 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 da. Anyway, long story short, I came home after 4 days with a huge resentment, plus feeling like I'm back to meth head level, and everybody knows. Like
Yeah.
I came home, and like, oh, they know that I went to this place. Everybody knows. Everyone knows that I went back to meth. Like, and the ironic thing about it is that I was able to stop that, and I was able to do coke again. And to me that was an achievement, no? Like oh I regressed back into coke. But everyone thinks I'm a meth head anyway, so I might as well.
Might as well.
Oh yeah. Since
Mm.
everybody says, thinks otherwise, so I might as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Mind you, not a single person said that. Not a
Yeah.
single person said that. Not a single person um made me feel that way. Uh but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And
Agree.
funny enough, like my contact was a guy that I met in that in that rehab.
In that rehab. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Gets
that was a progression for me. And after that, that's I went to my first Thai rehab,
mm.
and then I was able to stay meth free
Mm.
Okay.
for 9 months. So I
Oh.
was still doing coke on like special occasions, drinking when people like to toast and like I mean I put up
Special occasions like it's Wednesday.
Mm.
no something like that. Yeah, like when other people had it, but everybody always has it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
don't worry. It's when other people have it, but somebody always has it. Somebody always has it. So that was my life for 9 months, and I was subsisting off of fucking like self-help books like this, The Lives of the Stoics, like fucking like get your life back together, man, like fucking
Gotcha.
like you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked. It worked until I hit a point where I was like, hey, I'm doing pretty good. It's close to Christmas. I have it's like a 9-day break. Let me do meth again.
There you go.
What was the plan? Was it
Uh,
because you had 9 days and so like you could like dip out for a sec, like with some meth, and then you'll have enough time to recover?
Yes, that was the plan.
That's the plan. Yeah.
That was the plan. 3 months later.
3 months later, you're still in the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still in the plan.
Nice plan. It worked out. No, but
Yeah.
that's understandable because, like, I mean, with meth, I can understand the way it has a grasp on you
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that because I understand like how it's not the sundot of coke. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It's not sundot. Because like after you do coke, it's like this thing that parang, oh yeah, woo! Like that, right? Because with meth, it's just like, all right, do coke.
Yeah.
You're just like, but then you're like, all right.
Oh,
Exactly.
like you don't even know that you're already there. You're like
You don't
coasting, but
even
you're
know
like,
that you're already there. You're just like, what's up? But then like you know
Yeah.
weird. Like you're just like wide eyed and but you're cool.
Have you guys seen Breaking Bad?
Of course.
Mm.
That's like
All
my
right.
favorite series of all time.
So how he describes it, I think um in one of the earlier episodes, it's not Walter White, it's the kid. It's the guy. I forget, Jesse Pinkman.
Jesse,
He
yeah.
said you're just interested in everything.
Mm.
It just makes you interested in like, well, I would say hyper focused in everything. But after that, like after about day two, you can't focus on anything anymore. Like you're just like, what's that noise? Like that's when the paranoia sets
Yeah,
in.
you get paranoid. Did you ever like feel so there's the paranoia. Did you ever get violent or like angry?
Mm.
Um, yes, yes,
Mm.
I did. Uh, so so one episode, the when I first started doing it with the guy who like, oh, take this to calm down, it became our sort of secret in our friend group. And then just things blew up between us, and we got so angry at each other. Like I remember like just passing through his house in Dasma and just sending him a picture, like I'm by your house, motherfucker, I'm by your house, like and he would like we would be like, I didn't know how spoiled of a brat I was until I met the people who were selling it. Until I met the people who were selling it and saw the type of lives that they were living, and even like, spending that little amount of time in the Philippine rehab, like hearing stories of just the shit that the people that drug or any type of drug um comes with, like when you're pushing, when you're moving, when you're making any type of money off of it, um it comes also with like firearms, it comes with
Mm.
like, death, it comes with being dangerous. um and here I am, and here this other guy is in our early 30s making death threats to each other, like, just feeling super like, because we're also so methed out, and the anger is just mixed with the shame, mixed with the like, you're just not in your right. I just wasn't in my right mind anymore, and
Mm.
neither
Mm.
was he. But after that, when I came back um to it, and I was doing it long term, after the rehab, after all of that, I was doing meth like without stopping for about a year, but I was just locked in my own self-pity. So I wasn't angry at anyone. I actually felt nothing, just numb. I think I went through maybe over 100 different video games on my PlayStation and my Switch,
Mm.
but I don't even remember doing it. But somehow that made me feel, excuse me, that made me feel some sort of like I accomplished something. I finished.
Like at least you were doing something.
Not even like when I beat a game, it was my like I felt like I achieved something in life. And
Yeah.
as sad as this sounds, I accept it already. Like, yeah, this is probably the rest of my life. But I mean,
Oh.
I would look at YouTube when the next releases were, and then it just it got to a point where like wala na, like for Switch wala na, for PlayStation wala na. I started playing mobile games like those, and I remember like just getting so like I didn't know what was even going on. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's very funny to talk about now, but it's very sad when if you're a witness to this. So like my ex-girlfriend was a witness to this. You
Mhm.
know, we lived together. Like she'd be in the bedroom, and she would know that I was at it, and I would tell her, let me just finish this and then I'll be done. And she'd be out, just at least drink water, at least drink, at least, do this, because like you're literally like just like
Yeah.
my eyes would be closed and I'd be doing this.
Oh,
And I'd
wow.
be like and my character would be doing like circles in the thing. And in my head I'd be like, no, this is how you're supposed to be doing it. It just, the stories that
Mm,
they say, well, akala ko baboy sila, so kinatay ko. Like, it
yeah.
makes you
Yeah.
think. It really makes you think.
Yeah.
Well, actually, is it that far of a stretch? Like, if I'm doing this and thinking that I'm playing a video game, and if I'm having these ideas in my head that like when I was in the family home, like I thought that the yayas were gonna cook me. Legit, legit. And I remember my papa, my lolo, who he was still alive. Um, uh, which, by the way, I was completely gone through his final days, his funeral. I will always regret this. But when he was alive and he was doing a board meeting, I was met out in like listening to it, crying, because I thought that as a board, they were like, your grandson needs to die. Like, he's
Oh
too
my.
much of a he's too much of a he's too much of a like a shame on the company and the family name. And it this was just going on in my head. And I would walk in and I'd be like, Papa, are you really gonna do this?
You're gonna kill me.
And I believed it. I believed it with wholeheartedly. Like
Yeah.
like they would ask me to shower, and I would hear things in the shower, and I would be like, "This is it. They put a bomb in the shower. Like, they just want me
Oh,
gone.
wow.
And I would just like so sadly accept that this is how it has to be. I would see my little brother, who he lives in New York now, but he was still in high school then, and I would just like give him a hug, stinking, like, because I hadn't showered for like so
Yeah.
long. Goodbye. I'm gonna go shower now.
Oh my God.
That's like that makes my mouth stale just like listening to that's you ever see Boogie Nights?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know that scene when they're in the mountain, like when they're in the mansion with that guy, and then there's that like Asian guy that's like throwing up firecrackers in the background, and
Yeah,
everybody's just like
yeah.
coked out of their mind, or like that's
Yeah.
with like the stale sweat, like stale gold, basically, is that feeling that I'm getting as you're telling this story. So like
Yeah.
I have no experience with meth, but I know what that scene feels like, and it's like
Yeah.
it's clammy and it's
Yeah.
depressing and it's forever.
Yes. It's not good. It's not good. Um,
Yeah, but you're here now.
You're here
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, okay, but all of that, right? So you decided on January 2 or 3 that this is for real. I have to do something about it.
Yeah, what changed?
What
Yeah.
shit?
Was it like a bottom, or was it you're just tired of it? And what made you decide to come back?
Wasn't me. I didn't decide anymore.
There you
I
go.
had no power of decision anymore. It was either um so I remember this very clearly. I was with my girlfriend in my place. Uh, I had relapsed, and I think I was going on 5 or 6 days.
Mhm.
And then my aunt came to pick me up with the owner of the rehab in Thailand. And they were like, you have two options. There are armed guards downstairs ready to take you somewhere in the Philippines, or you can fly with me right now. Or like I think it was in 3 hours, go back to Phuket, and we're gonna spend at the very least 5 months. At the
Wait, they
very
were
least.
were they really gonna kill you?
No, no,
I
no,
just
no.
missed that.
No,
No,
Or-
no,
no,
no.
no, no, no.
Oh,
No,
No,
there
they
were
were
armed
armed
guards
guards.
ready
Like,
to take me somewhere,
yeah,
like
that's
Ah,
what.
probably to a TC.
yeah,
Okay.
either to a rehab, not to be killed.
I was like, I was
Iron
like,
you're not
Guy,
there.
he
I was
wasn't
like,
gonna be
Papa,
as
what the
Yan ang
hell,
ano,
Papa?
yan ang dampot, di ba? My God.
After all
Binang
these
pot.
years, you come
It's
back.
like,
No.
this is not an episode of Sopranos.
Right?
Yeah.
So you decided, okay.
Phuket. I mean,
I,
that's
I
a good
decided I
decision.
decided in Phuket because for the first time after like a series of relapses, I didn't have my phone anymore because nobody wanted to talk to me. So that was my bottom.
Hmm.
Like nobody wants to talk. Like really? What do you mean no one wants to talk to me? Like my girlfriend doesn't want. Like my family doesn't want. Like what? It's like, and this went on for 3 months. Because they just really didn't want to talk to me anymore. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to do anything, and I was just stuck there. So it was at that point where I might actually be here forever if I don't start working on like whatever it is that needs to be worked on. Um, so I don't know. I guess most of my growth happened while I was like during the transition, while I was living in Phuket, but not in the rehab anymore. Because there's
Mhm.
there's there's something to be said about a period of sober living because it wasn't just treatment straight to living in Phuket. Like I did actual sober living where I was staying in the facility and I
Mhm.
had a curfew, um, but I could leave whenever I wanted.
Yeah. It's
And
like
it
the
was
halfway house. Like
it's
basically
like the
here in the
halfway house.
Philippines called the halfway house.
Yeah. So I wasn't required to do too much. Like I was only required to stay there during the mornings. Uh, but I found Phuket kind of boring. Like
Hmm.
partly because I didn't really get to go too far.
Hmm.
So I chose to stay in the rehab a couple of times, and just that like very very slight difference of like me choosing to stay and doing this and not feeling like I'm being locked up in here made me really appreciate like doing inventory. Like there was a time that I
Oh.
became super obsessed about doing inventory. Like I would leave to go to like a cafe and like uh well, I would go to lounges which also served alcohol, but I'd be there all day from like morning till night and just
Mhm.
doing inventory. And this is not step four inventory. This because I had already done that. This would be anything that bothers me, anything that makes me feel uncomfortable in any way. I became obsessed with that. Um,
So
and then
basically it's like journaling, more like
yeah,
journaling.
yeah, or maybe even like sort of like trying to clarify like why am I snapping over something so small? Like let me try to explore this. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
Like
what,
step 10, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, for me that was the turning point. And coming back to the Philippines, obviously it was scary for the first month. Um, but after the first 3 weeks, when I realized that this was my personal best, it just became easier. I've stopped sort of counting, um,
Hmm.
and and like knock on wood, I haven't had too many episodes or any anymore within the past, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, where I've wanted to where I've come anywhere close to ordering or doing anything like that. It's also very easy for me to like refuse drinks. Even though I work in F&B, like that's
Good.
it's my
Mhm.
job. Um, so I don't know, like I feel safe somehow. I feel safe.
Aw.
That's really good. F&B,
That's
like, so
great.
you're around alcohol as part of like what you do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to
Yeah.
talk about that because I was talking to somebody else, another recovered fellow, like a recovering fellow, yesterday. And that was his question to me. He's in the middle of possibly changing what he does for a living. Um, and he was thinking about opening a resta bar. And he's like, well, what do you think about that? Because, I'm a recovering addict. Um, so it wouldn't be good for me to open a resta bar or something where I have alcohol. And for me, that's actually a misconception, right? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
at least in the big book, if I get sober and then I spend the rest of my life running away from alcohol for,
Yeah.
let's say, no reason, then that's not really in keeping with what we're trying to, like, getting to the position of neutrality and being just like removed from it. So if you have a good
Mm-hmm.
reason to be there and you know yourself, to thine own self be true, right? And I think your inventory process helps with that. There is no
Yeah.
reason why you can't be in a place that serves alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, you could be in a job that serves it, but no matter what, the moment you step out the door, there's alcohol. It doesn't,
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
it's
It's
everywhere.
Are you trying to get vicarious pleasure? And are you like just fooling yourself?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you know yourself. So like if I told the guy,
Mhm.
it really just kind of depends on you. If you think that it's like treacherous territory for you, then by all means stay away from it.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
initially,
Yeah.
but then later on, it's a part of life, and it's just being living in the real world,
Real world. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fear is not the
Absolutely.
answer, right? What we're not trying to do, recovery doesn't equate to like a life of living in fear. It shouldn't anyway.
Yeah. Like I think that the my best example of this is a longtime member of CA whose kids they drink, they smoke weed. Um they may even have problems with it, but for him, like what's he gonna do? He's just gonna do his best to try to like, you know, just make sure that it's not going out of hand. And it hasn't gone out of hand yet. So like his stance on it was my children can stop when they want to. So there's alcohol in the house. My wife drinks. Like it's fine. I'm the one with the problem.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to dictate what goes on inside my house because I can take care of what goes on inside of myself. And that really stood out for me when I heard that from him. Um, I thought it was just such a badass thing to say.
Yeah.
It is. And I think it's also important that you know how to surround yourself with people who don't pressure you to do anything,
Yeah,
you
Mm.
know, or sort of like this. I always say this, like, like I surround myself with people who help me protect my sobriety, outside the program.
Yeah.
It's not about anonymity. It's me like just letting them know, like, hey, I don't drink. I don't mind if you do, but just don't be like an asshole about it to me,
yeah,
right? And that,
Yeah.
that that really helps because like I mean, like I have to live outside. I'm not saying that I love our fellowship. I love our program. I love this life already. But I can't always expect people to like be living my program. It's
Mm.
mine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
exactly.
yes, and people in the real world, they drink, they do drugs,
Yeah.
and it's not something that I can stop, but I can stop myself. And
Yeah,
no problem. Because I get your point. Like you're in F&B. I work in a place where it's basically an open bar because you know uh my brother when 5 o'clock or 4:30 even, it's like it's already drinking in the office, and it's a fully
Mm-hmm.
stacked ref, whatever it is, whatever you want, it's there,
Hmm.
right? And and being exposed to it, and people actually know that I don't do that anymore. It helps.
Yeah,
It But being
Yeah.
exposed to it at the same time kind of strengthens my resolve towards it.
yeah,
it,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that like you parang okay, I'm putting myself in danger. No, it's just me, like I know my limits. Like if I go out at night or something like that, and then I know that okay, this is my limit, I'm gonna go home,
Yeah.
right?
absolutely.
Pressure,
Um,
pressure.
and also like if I mean because my group of friends and even the people that I work with know what the alternative is. Like they every time I go radio silent, they already know. They already know. So
Something's
so
wrong.
it's yeah. So it's always been very easy for me. In fact, my friends have been very supportive. Like I used to think that
Good.
I could drink. I used to think that I could drink. But whether or not like that allergy manifests itself in alcohol, for me, that's irrelevant. What is important for me is just sobriety, abstinence, not like just being able to handle everything with my own capacity. What I need to protect is the fact that I'm not relying on anything to alter me. Like I have to do it myself. So for me,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
includes
yeah.
alcohol.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
that includes I don't know, maybe like a whatever it is,
Yeah.
whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like I'm in the F&B, you know, with my job as well. Like I'm a chef, and I have to cook with alcohol. It's part of the menu, and it's beef bourguignon, there's panela vodka, there's the rum, and even in like salpicao, there's white rum. You just don't know it, and it's like and of course white wine and everything. And I just make sure that after I cook it, it's done. I make sure that it's cooked through since it burns anyway. The alcohol evaporates, and then whatever is left over, I send it back to my kitchen or I throw it away. I don't keep alcohol in my house.
Hmm.
Not because I'm going to drink it. It's just for me, it's just better. It's just I just keep it as a rule, just to keep it as an alcohol-free house. And also because like my daughter lives with me and I don't want her to feel worried. Like if she sees that there's alcohol in the
Yeah,
fridge, she'll be like, oh shit, mom's back, to drinking. But yeah, I mean it's totally fine. Like even the smell, I'm so used to it already.
yeah,
And like last weekend, it's also good, like you said, like to be surrounded by friends who supported your decision, right? And for me, like I got invited to this Brazilian Independence Day celebration, and there was a lot of booze, and they love to party, there's dancing and whatever. And a sober friend invited me, and I was like, I'm so like tamad to go. I don't really like going out at night. I wasn't afraid to drink. It's just that I don't really normally go to Poblacion. It's not my hangout place. But yeah, and then I ended up inviting more recovery friends. And we ended up having such a good time. Like every time we go out, we're always the loudest group. Like I look around and nobody else is like shouting or like laughing as hard, and
Yeah.
it's just become the new normal for me.
yeah.
Like it's so much fun. And when you go home and when you drive home and you're not drunk or under the influence, it's like something's different,
You get to do tomorrow. You get to do
You
Yeah,
get to
you're
do
like, oh
tomorrow.
shit,
Tomorrow is indeed another day.
right? And you're
Yeah.
not stumbling into your condo lobby and then, like practically like leaning on the elevator door and like about
Yeah.
to puke or what. You're
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
fresh. and you're just like, you know what you're doing. You don't have to worry about getting into a car accident. It's such a different feeling. And it just felt so wonderful. I think everybody from that group that went felt the same way. We're like, wow, this is so much better, but
Yeah.
it takes a while. It takes a while to get there. It's not always like that in the beginning. In the beginning, you're like, fuck my life. I can't drink. I can't
Yeah.
do all this shit. That's the beginning. Like you feel like I'm so kawawa, you know?
But you're
Like I'm
also embracing life, which is important, I mean, I have to say, like,
yes.
even RYGUY, like the way that you put it, the way that Barbie describes that, the way that you're talking about what's important. I've said this before, like that was not my experience in early AA, right? I'm not gonna assign blame to anyone, but what I thought was that fear. So I think it's natural for us to be protective of our sober and clean time. I know I am, but for a long time, it felt like the primary driver. Why am I not drinking today? It's because, sure, you tell me that alcohol is going to kill me, but I don't want to throw away my time, number one. And then I don't want everybody to judge me.
Mm.
Mm,
And if those two are my primary drivers, then I'm stuck in a similar kind of box, right? But the way that you
Mm.
said is similar to how I see it now. Like life is good. I feel good. I have a capacity. I can't do any of those things if I don't have a sober mind.
mhm,
And
Absolutely.
so that becomes more of the reason why alcohol doesn't have a place in my life rather than this fear of like, I'm not going to be able to get the next coin or some shit, you know?
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
when Barbie talks about enjoying life, I didn't know how to enjoy life at all because I thought that I wasn't supposed to. I thought that we are supposed to just like gather for an hour at a time at a meeting and then just talk about how, well, life kind of sucks, but it's okay. We're sober.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that's
no way
not
to live.
enough. It's
It's
not
not.
enough. And that's why, like, I always want to do things, like outside the meetings, because the meetings is just an hour of your day, right? It's just an hour of your
Yeah.
day. Like, how many meetings? I mean, I do a lot of meetings though, but like, like the face to face, it's just 1 hour. But you should be able to enjoy doing other activities. Like tomorrow, we're all watching Beetlejuice.
What?
Do you want
I
to?
want to watch. Yeah.
We'll go, like we're all watching Beetlejuice tomorrow, like
I think I said this before. Parang, that's why isn't it the truth that I'm in this program, I'm bettering myself. It's so that I can do things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diba? I think
ah,
I mean, yes, like people, like, the old timers would say na parang, your sobriety comes first. You cannot get, I'm not gonna miss a birthday party of my child just because like I have to go jump into a meeting. I thought,
Mm.
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that the meeting coincides with the birthday party of my child.
Well, your
There's no
sobriety is bigger than that, right? Your sobriety is
right
bigger
Mm.
than it better be fucking bigger than the meeting. It
be.
better be
Oh
bigger
yeah.
than the
Yeah.
commitment, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
steal away in a dark corner and be like, on my phone for a meeting and then miss out on making a memory, a good memory, or a milestone of
Yeah.
somebody important in my life,
I
something that's
think
important to me.
absolutely. I think that you're I think that if anybody is in a position where they begin to resent like an aspect of recovery, that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
Like when you feel obligated to do any of these things, um, but it's the same with work. It's the same with anything. Like once I start feeling like I'm not like doing this because I want to do it,
Mm.
it just takes away from everything. And I think at the end of the day, the solution to that for me right now, because I'm so early, and I'm beginning to like just experience a lot of good things. It's gratitude. I don't look back anymore in fear. Um, every time I look back, it's always from the context of look at where I am now. like how nice is it to be able to just have dinner with my Lola? Like how nice is it to have a calendar that I stick to? You
Yeah.
know, like to have things that to be reliable, to be useful, and I don't know, somehow like free.
Yeah.
Like I say I'm gonna do something and I fucking do it. Like it's just as simple as that. It's just, you know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I mean? Like whether
How
it's to
wonderful
myself
is it?
or to somebody else, it's just as simple as that for me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Go
think
ahead,
like
buddy.
the more you experience the gifts of sobriety, the more you get encouraged to keep
Yes.
going. Because
Yeah.
you need that time. You need that time to start feeling it, like how
Yeah.
life is so much better. You need to give yourself the opportunity
Yeah.
to feel that so that, before, when you're about to relapse, all of a sudden you're like, do I really want to give this up? Right? So you need to have
Yeah,
that time because if you don't have that time, you can easily just throw it away. You're just like, ah, fuck it. So
absolutely.
easily to say fuck it. But once you've experienced like kind of like a long stint, and
Yeah.
a lot of those, it's kind of hard to give up by that
So,
time.
so I don't want to be like big book thumper, but like this is something that like
You're
I've
preaching to the choir.
I'm excited. Let's go.
yeah, I I
Pirate
I
Mike, it's like, woo, woo, woo.
I think that what you just said is like for me, it's my definition of hope turning into faith.
Mm, yeah.
I think it's hope with a track record.
Yes.
And the longer that track record of good things going on, and not just good things going on, like being able to handle bad things,
Yeah.
but still sort of not just make like how do I say this? When right now I'm in the middle of a breakup, but I
Mm.
can handle it. I mean, maybe I'm not handling it the best because like
It's
whatever. Like
it's
I've
it's
messed up.
relative. It's relative.
Breakups are
It's messed
hard. Come
up. Or,
on.
Yeah.
yeah, it's relative. Um, but I'm not giving up. And for me, like giving up is just going back to like I want to shut my brain off. No, man, keep that shit on.
Yeah.
Like deal with it yourself. Keep your brain on, and that'll give you the evidence that you can do it again. And you can do it for this thing, you can do it for that thing. And all the good things that are happening in your life, they're happening because your brain is on, because your eyes are open. Because like
Yep.
when you walk outside of the door, like I don't know, like I believe in angel numbers. I believe in like I don't know, if I see a fucking butterfly or some shit like that, I'm like, ah,
Yeah.
there you go. I'll take that. Like that I'm
Yeah.
probably doing something good
Yeah.
today. And the
Yeah.
more that stuff happens, like the more I
Yes.
feel like, I feel safer, or I feel
Yeah.
like
Pure.
something. I feel
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
kind of something.
Yeah. No,
And
you
it
build
helps.
your armor plate at the time. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's what's
And
important. I think I will be big book thumpery, and that's what's important about the message that it talks about in that piece of literature. I'll say because like when I was spent years just being sober and never like reading the book, whenever somebody would say something to me like you just have to wait for, the gifts of sobriety to happen, it was not drinking a day at a time, but then not really changing a whole lot of much else. And I'm like, well, fucking gifts. So
you're
I
just
didn't
waiting there,
know.
like,
Basically, like, okay, by just
no.
waiting here, something's supposed to happen because I'm not fucking anything up. No, but there's something that we have to be pointed towards, or else it
Mm,
doesn't build, and that's when you really
yeah,
start to appreciate what this life has to offer. It's
exactly. Like
so much more
going
than a
through
day at a
things
time.
clean and sober, every
Yes,
challenge at a time. And then that gives you more like courage,
yes,
and self-confidence. Like, shit, I was able to go through it.
yeah,
Without alcohol, without Valium, without whatever, because sometimes I'm still like that. Like when something is so painful, like I'm done with the alcohol. I'm like, ah, yeah. But then sometimes I'm like, shit, I really need a Valium right now. I'm sure this moment will pass by a lot quicker. And then when I don't take it and I'm able to go through that challenge, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm badass. I can do this. I didn't need it. I didn't need it. And I'll tell you something, because you said you're on a break with your ex-girlfriend. Dating in sobriety rocks. It's something to look forward to. And we're back into the dating
We're
episode.
back.
We're back in the dating. No, I'm telling you. I'm
This is-
telling you.
This is a podcast, right? So it's not gonna be like, listen, like, so if I can.
Are you gonna say like, look at
and then we're done.
this, and then you'll be
No,
like a
like,
tease to the
yeah,
audience?
Like this is Raya, man. Like Raya is some next level. Like who the fuck?
Plugging.
What kind of dating app? This is like she's a like.
Well,
Who
we
is
know
this?
we know
Is
we
she
know
a
about that
tennis
dating app.
player? She's a tennis player.
Yeah, she's a fucking tennis player.
And dude,
Like,
you
like
can't
blue tick
date
and all.
you can't date girls like that if you are not also at that level of wellness. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Ah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's true. You're gonna attract, people, the best. You'll only attract only the best if you also feel the same way, if you're
Yeah.
at your best, if you're at your best.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. I really
Still
am.
waiting for that.
Stay tuned until the next episode.
Come on, guys. There's
This
none.
was great, right, guys?
No, but you know what?
This was a lot of fun. This is a lot
No,
of
but
fun.
you should also. I know I don't. I mean, like it's all these big things and everything like that. But you know what? I'm a big believer. Well, now at least that the small things they're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
How good is it that now that we can actually taste food?
Mm.
I never knew food was so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I was like when I was my first sober Christmas, I was like, God, the food's good. Because like I'm already drunk. Like I could remember like, oh, I was already drinking that time. So probably like my palate was just like messed up already and you can't taste anything.
Yeah.
And
I remember we were in Tally Beach. My friends and I were all coked up, right? And the food was amazing. We're talking about like a seafood platter, lobsters with like, lemon butter sauce and wagyu paella, like really wonderful stuff. And all of us were at the table just staring at the food. Like none of us could eat. None of us
so I
could
eat
eat.
things.
Because we're all cooked up. I didn't have an appetite, dude. And then I kept on whispering to my friend because I get paranoid, right? I'd be like whispering, I can't eat. Is it okay? Is it okay? And then my friend was like, nobody's eating, Barbie. Nobody. Look around you. You're not the only one. You're fine. But sayang, right? Sayang.
Yeah, sayang.
I was like, my
Sayang.
God, I want that lobster now.
Right? Or like going on vacation. Like, what was your goal when you were planning vacations? Oh, we're gonna get
We're just gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
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 Parang,
Spend the majority of your time in the hotel room.
right.
Just
Or
like-
like you're just there and then you're in sunglasses until the night and you're just like, this is I didn't enjoy anything. None. I can't like for example, I go on vacation and it's just like, nope, I was hungover or like, I was just out of it. And you didn't I spent freaking hotel and flights just to get drunk, just to party.
yeah.
What was I thinking? Diba?
Yeah.
I did write an article about sober traveling because that was
Oh, yeah.
that was another experience. So every single thing, whether it's dating, whether it's traveling, when you do it clean and sober, it's like a brand new experience. You're like aware of everything that's around you and you're appreciative of the little things, whether it's the sunset or whether, it's this dish that you tried and you remember.
Yeah.
You remember.
You remember.
Yeah.
You don't have to look through your phone. What did we eat again? Did you guys take a picture?
I think that's why like when we have like lunches, like I it's easy for me to be comfortable with you guys because nobody has got that crutch anymore. Like I think like just by spending time with you guys, like we're to a certain extent we're not relying on any sort of crutch. Like you get what you see. Like what you see is what you see is what you get. And somehow that makes me feel comfortable, as opposed to like like when I was in college or even like in my 20s, what you see like like I'm hanging out with Holly at 10 p.m. It's different from me hanging out with Holly at 10 a.m.
Mm.
Like it's like
Mhm.
you're talking to a different person, and
Yeah.
everybody's like like so insecure, and everybody's like just sipping
Yes.
on the drink. I need that Coke. I need
Yeah.
because I need to be super confident now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
now you're dealing with like either somebody who wants to attack you or
Yes.
like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but when you're hanging out with sober people, it's just what you see is what you get. So it's a lot less intimidating and it's a lot more welcoming. And it also makes for me, it makes me feel like I don't need to like walk around and like, puff my chest out and like, yo, hey man, what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Carbs.
guys.
I'm the guy with the baggies, you know?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's true because like I remember in early recovery, I was like, I'm gonna hang out with sober people. Are you kidding? Like, yeah, I really said that out loud to my counselor and to my friend. And
You're not the only one. I mean, I have a sponsee who was
Yeah.
I
like,
ate
I
my
walked
words.
into Santuario and I thought you guys are just each other's friends. You guys are so sad. And I was like, fuck.
Right? That was my impression. It's like, wow, really? I can't have like parang no, I'm not gonna be but then like, I ate my words like soup.
Yeah.
Because like, this is where it's at. I mean, like, we're all crazy and we're all like crazy in our own ways, and it just so happens that we're trying to do it the same goal.
Yeah.
We come from different backgrounds, we come from different walks of life and everything, but we have the same goal, and that I think binds us in a friendship, a fellowship that really all of that doesn't matter.
Mm.
All of that is like put
Yeah.
aside because of this main goal of sobriety. And that makes it more fun because you're with so much people that that understand what it's like.
Yeah, you
You
don't
never
feel
felt it.
alone. And I think that's why it worked for me. I really feel like I couldn't be in a program where I had to just work on it on my own,
Mm.
like after treatment, like after a treatment facility, okay, halfway house, and then, okay, bye. You're by yourself and you're cured now. No, it didn't work for me. It doesn't cure you. Rehab doesn't cure you. It just,
Yeah.
you're like detoxing for so long, but and that's why the program really worked for me because I needed to find other people who were just like me, and I didn't feel like, I was I'm the odd person out, like I was cursed, and like I'm kawawa. I hate that feeling, oh, I'm the only one who can't drink. No, it's nice to be with other people who totally get it,
Yeah.
who yeah, who share the same struggles and they have your back,
Absolutely.
whether you need a ride
Mm.
somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean naman that we're so deprived of having friends outside the fellowship, right? Outside
Yeah.
the No, it doesn't mean it.
No.
It just means
No.
na parang, like, yeah, I found my tribe. It doesn't mean like I'm not gonna be friends with anyone anymore. It just
Mm-hmm.
means that,
Mm-hmm.
like parang my world just became bigger.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that parang I didn't know that it could be like this. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was something, parang what the fuck? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like hon- honestly, like the fellowship and recovery enhances every other aspect of my life. Like
Mm.
Yes.
That's it. Eh. That's
you
it.
know that like because I can hang out with you guys and relate. I like just yesterday I met probably like I don't know 5 different groups of people and it was easy for me to relate because for me like even my work like right now in early recovery everything that I'm doing psychologically to me is a side hustle. Like
Oh, right
my
on.
main hustle, and maybe this is just mental conditioning in my on my part, which maybe I'm just fooling myself in order to psych myself up to do all the other obligations in life. Um, like my recovery, this is the hard part. Like I keep telling myself, this is the hard part. Fellowship, I mean, it's great, but this is the hard part. But if I can do this, then everything else, like this is just my side gig. These
Mm.
are these come
Mm.
these come extra. These are ancillary to what I'm doing, and it makes everything so much easier. It makes the stress of work easier.
Yeah.
It makes dealing with like family stuff easier. Because I am currently dealing with the thing that is most likely to make the biggest difference in my life.
Exactly.
Yeah. It
And
makes you a better son. It makes you a better whatever boss or employee. It makes you a better friend. Like
Oh
not
yeah.
just to people in recovery. I mean, your old friends, like the friends that you grew up with. Because you'd think that they actually liked you when you were drunk. No, they didn't. They didn't like you. They didn't like me. But and now that I'm in recovery, I've managed to rebuild those childhood friendships, and they're like, Barbie, this is the best we've ever seen you. They're not like, oh, why don't you drink? No, it's like, keep doing what you're doing. Whatever it is
Yeah.
you're doing, you're a better friend, So yeah, it really expands to all areas of your life. Definitely.
definitely,
And
definitely.
and I think it also gives you a different set of parameters of like what it is you like about yourself. Um and uh ironically, these are the things that other people like about you anyway. Because I used to think that what people liked about me is like my drive, my ambition, my fucking like I'm good at talking, or like I'm da 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 da. Like I get shit done. I'm a type A personality, but nobody gives a shit about that, man. Like are you are you friendly, or do you care? Like if I'm
Yeah.
talking to you, like do I feel like you're listening, or like are you just sort of like trying to size me up? You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like
Quality.
and yeah, and I don't know if that falls under the promises, or that falls under like what, like a psychic change, a spiritual whatever, but like I definitely feel like I see more aspects in other people that are closer to what I imagine the godly things.
yeah.
And I'm also more comfortable with the parts of myself that I used to just almost like hide, like because I was too cool to be a nice guy. Like so I grew up in a time where like fucking we had this book called The Game that taught you how to hit on girls by negging them. I don't know if you even know what that is. Insult her
I'm
first.
gonna look it up.
Yeah,
Insult her first. Oh, like that.
just everything was some sort of like weird like fuckery. Like
Yeah.
here's
Yeah.
the cheat code to like
Yeah.
not only traumatize this girl but make her fall in love with you like
Yeah.
with extra.
It's all manipulation, right? It's all like,
Maybe. Oh.
it's like we have our own version of it. Why men love bitches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an actual book?
Yes. Yes, there's so many. I've read them all.
You've read them all.
No wonder. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm super kidding. I'm super kidding. No
Hindi ka
wonder.
kasali. Hindi ka kasali bukas. Wala kang ticket. No.
Wala na nga ako love life. Wala pa ako.
uh,
Yeah, but you know what? And I'm so glad that you came back. And
Yes. I'm very I knew it was just a matter of time. I think we all
Yeah.
prayed for that time to come. And
Yeah,
you're here.
very proud of
I'm
you.
Woo.
I'm also, by the way, so glad. Like, this is so fun. Like, I thought, I mean, I thought it would be like cool, or like but I didn't expect to have so much fun. Like, thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed myself.
Aw.
And
We're
For
so
sure.
happy you're here.
back anytime. And
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
And
Cheers
you
to
get
that.
your own.
Go get your own.
We'll
I'll
get
give
your own.
you
Yes,
on
please.
Saturday. I'll give you your mug on Saturday.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Cheers, you
guys.
guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.
This has been an episode of the Coco Recovery Podcast. If you would like to get in touch with our hosts or guests, please email us at cocorecoverypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.